Hi everybody, Jillian here for Illustrated Faith. I'm so excited to walk through our new Revival Camp devotional, Big Story Part 1. So I was the contributor for Big Story and I'm so excited to get to share this with you. I'm just giving you a little peek at the inside of the devotional booklet here. And today we're going to be going through the first session, the main character in Part 1 of Big Story. So rather than journaling a particular prompt, I wanted to share more of the heart behind this particular session. So this is my very first entry using the kit, and I have some of the digital printables that come with the kit when you purchase the physical kit, and I'm going to incorporate maybe one of them today. But I wanted to show you kind of what my process was when choosing colors for a kit to work with. I wanted to use the stamps from the devotional kit. They're really fun, buildable stamps, and so I'm swatching some inks here, or rather referring to my ink swatches to find the shade closest to what's in the kit. I ended up choosing 4 colors to work with, so 3 dye inks and 1 pigment ink, and they're a pretty good match for the kit, and I'm going to use those to stamp my background layer. Now that I have an idea of what color palette I'm going with, I'm going to look through the pieces in the kit and pull out the ones that I know are going to match or coordinate with those ink colors. So first I'll go through the die cut paper pieces that were designed by Tina from Life Love Paper, and once I have an idea of which ones that I want to use, then I'll go through the journaling spots. I definitely want to use at least one of these to hold my journaling for today. Alright, now I have those picked out and I will set them aside, and I know I can reach from those 2 piles and I don't really have to overthink it as I'm going through my creative process. I have some notes written down in my journal here. I am a journaler for sure, so I definitely want to reference those, and that's what I'm going to build my entry from. Now let's get started stamping. So I've got my inks out here, a pack of baby wipes so I can easily clean the ink from the stamps in between stamping. And then these stamps are so fun. I'll show you here, I did a little practice with them to make sure that the colors that I chose would work well together. And I'm going to create the background for my page. So I know that I want to have a journaling spot with my title on the bottom third or bottom half of the page, and I'm going to make sure that this is kind of peeking out from behind those layers that I'll put on top later. So I was just being mindful to move the color around, not put the same 2 inks together when building different stamps and things like that. And then I knew that I wanted to put a tab towards the top, so I wanted to bring some of this stamping up towards the top of my page so that that would also be layered behind the tab and other things that I would add up there. A lot of this is going to get covered by the journaling spot that I'll use later, but it was still a pretty fun process. Alright, so I'm just about done, and then I'm going to look through the journaling spots that I had already put aside and see which one is going to look best with all of the stamping behind it. So I opted to layer this pink oval shape with a darker blue on top, and then I'm going to add some of the other pieces from Tina behind my journaling spot here. Alright, so this is looking pretty good to me. I'm going to take a pencil and note where I want this one piece to sit on top of the other so that when I run this through my typewriter, it will all be visible. So I use washi tape to tape that to a scrap piece of white cardstock to easily run it through the machine, and then the washi tape peels off easily. I went ahead and erased my line, and now I will go ahead and use some Illustrated Faith roller adhesive to go ahead and put all of these pieces together. Okay, so back to the devotional. Really the heart behind this session came from how I used to approach the Bible. When I was a teenager, I personally approached the Bible, 1, infrequently, and 2, often looking for what it had to say about me or a particular situation that I was in. But I've since learned that the Bible is so much more. 4 words into the biblical narrative and we're introduced to the quote-unquote main character, God. In the beginning, God. So in this session, we'll practice training or retraining our eyes to see Him in every passage of the big story. So there's an exercise in the first prompt where I encourage you to read through the rest of that creation narrative and to know what you first learn about God. When writing this devotional, there were 3 things that I wanted each session to accomplish. To give you guys a tool to help see the big story in every story, poem, and prophecy, like you may have heard, right? Then I wanted to be able to see how we could use the tool in action, so that exercise that I just mentioned. And then I wanted to note with the journaling prompt, how does this change us? I've heard it said the Bible doesn't just seek to inform us, but to transform us. And I feel like this passage in Deuteronomy that I happen to be reading the last couple weeks really shows us this in action. In this section of Deuteronomy 10, verses 12 to 22, Moses is addressing the Israelites who are on the cusp of entering the promised land. And he recounts to them how God had rescued them from Egypt, how awesome God is. He created the heavens that their neighboring cultures worship, and this is how he acts on behalf of his people. So Moses goes on to say, therefore, stop being so stubborn. Fear him, revere him, love him, serve him, and go and do likewise. In the devotional, I wrote, tracing the theme of God's revelation of himself in the big story holds great reward. We don't set out to merely collect facts about God, but to grow in our relationship with and understanding of him. And in this case, in Deuteronomy, to be able to walk in his ways as Moses commands them. So in my journaling, I typed up, simply who you are informs and transforms my life. Please let your spirit guide this knowledge from my head to my heart and through my hands. I definitely wanted to incorporate Jill's badge stickers, and so I'm going to use it as a tab today. And because they're sticky, I wanted to place it on something else to kind of not have to worry about the adhesive. So I used a die cut piece to back that and then cut out one of the word fetty from Jill's toolbox that coordinates with the big story part 1 and then glued that down on my page. Then I'll go ahead and outline the passage that I'm journaling today and then add a few more stamps just to bring some attention to that area. And then that is going to do it. So here is a finished look at my page. We would absolutely love to have you join us for Big Story Part 1 for this revival camp. The kit in both physical and digital formats are linked down in the video description below if you want to check them out. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you soon.